All right, we good to go.
All righty, let's get it.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? Welcome to another episode of No Huddle with your boy Jeremy and my guy Hassan, man. Hey, man, how you feeling today?
Going on, good people. I'm feeling good. Would feel better as a Philly sports fan, but we'll let that one slide. The Eagles are doing great, but
Eagles are doing great. Haven't heard from the Phillies fans. I hope they're doing well. Shout out to Houston for handling business for me. The 76ers, they still got a chance. But other than that, it seems like it's, pretty much y'all relying on the Eagles to handle business this year. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah. shout out Temple. They beat Villanova in Philly. It was the first time in a long time.
Isn't there like two Philadelphia teams?
Villanova is like right outside. It's like the outskirts, but it's still technically. Yeah, Philly people root for Villanova too. So shout out
to
the Owls.
The battle of Philly, I guess, Philadelphia.
Yeah, you could call it that.
But yeah. So, hey, man, we appreciate y'all for joining us today, man. Another live video. Sorry we had to come on a little early this week. Next week we will be coming on at the same time today. The same time as today, the 2 p.m. But hopefully we'll be able to resume back to that 7 p.m. on every Saturday that following week. But these next 2 weeks, remember, 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's where you can catch us live. We got some great topics for y'all today, man. Before we get started, man, don't forget, go to YouTube, subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365, where you can catch us live every Saturday. Don't forget, tell everybody, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your pet falcon if you have one, because my Falcons took an L to the Carolina Panthers, and they dominated us. They dominated us. So I guess they had some Falcon that night. So they ate pretty good before Thanksgiving. But we will get our get back. You know what I'm saying? We'll get our get back next year because that's it for the Carolina Panthers, and us seeing each other this year. But I digress on that. But yeah, so we welcome y'all to another episode of No Huddle with Jeramy and Hassan, man. Please don't forget, like, share, comment on these videos if you got something to say, because your boy always gonna come at back. We got Dave in the building. Shout out to Dave. He said, "Good afternoon, guys." Good afternoon, guys. So what's up, David? How you doing, Dave? But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Unless my man's got something to say, what you got for us?
Only thing I gotta say is go see this movie, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It was definitely worth the wait. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want no problems, no spoilers, but yeah, go see it. I'm probably see it two, maybe 3 more times.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go watch that thing. I also want to see that. I think it was Woman King or something like that. They said it was good too. I want to go see that one, But yeah, so definitely, if y'all ever get a chance, go watch that Black Panther movie. Dave said I'm good, but I'm not happy with those Falcons, man. Hey, yes, we definitely not happy. But this ain't even a Falcon show, you know what I'm saying? But I love to talk about the Falcons. But this show is about the NFL. So, but yeah, I'm definitely mad. But I saw some positives in that game as well. Just because we lost, I mean, there wasn't any positives. But we'll get to that another time, another day. But yeah, so it was one more thing I wanted to bring up. Oh man, hey, shout out to all the veterans, man. Happy Veterans Day. From one vet to another vet, man. Happy Veterans Day. Thank y'all for y'all service, your continuous service. Even if you out of the military, you still serve, man. You still serving. And if you're in, thank you for your continuous service to this country, man. We wouldn't be free without us, without y'all, without our vets. So shout out to y'all. Hey, happy Veterans Day. I hope y'all was able to enjoy it. Get some free food in y'all, man. So I went to a few little restaurants, I took advantage. But yeah, man. I just want to say shout out to all my battles. Yeah. Dave said we can do that. Are the Seahawks for real, guys? I think we're gonna address that a little later.
Yeah, I think we are. So we gonna put
that game. So if you stay tuned, Dave, we gonna go ahead and give you our opinion on the Seattle Seahawks. But that'll come a little later. But hey, we appreciate the enthusiasm. We appreciate all that. But yeah, Dave, appreciate that, man. We're gonna talk about it. So let's go ahead and get into these topics, man. The first topic that we
oh boy. My co-host will be back shortly. The internet is being an op right now. We apologize for any technical difficulties along the way.
Yeah, just get used to it, y'all. Right now,
feel, man.
Yeah.
The internet be the op. Plus, the weather is kind of weird down here. That got something to do with it too.
Yeah, man. It's my phone, man. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's my service. Like, I got the tower, I got the Wi-Fi. I'm close to it. I'm actually in my bedroom today, and it's still.
They don't want us to win, man.
They don't want us to win. So but we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and make a positive. Turn the negative into a positive and discuss this first topic. I believe it's gonna be a great debate topic. So let's go ahead and get into it. What I'm saying? We're gonna start off hot. We started off hot today. This topic is, which QB is more deserving of the Hall of Fame? Is it Michael Vick or Donovan McNabb? Hey, man, who you saying?
Hey, man, you already know I got to go with the hometown dude, man. Listen, I'm mad that this is even a conversation. I'm going to just leave it like that. But my first point, if you look at these two quarterbacks as their primary position, which is quarterback, it is without question clearer that McNabb is more deserving. He put up 37,276 total yards in his career, put up 234 passing TDs against 117 interceptions. I didn't even bother to look at his rushing stats. And a lot of people don't remember back in the day, McNabb definitely used to have them wheels until like injuries and his age started to set in. But yeah, he used to be more of a dual threat quarterback. Not to mention he was a MVP during his career, and he took the Eagles to 4 straight NFC title games, and he made it to a Super Bowl. With all of those stats, I don't see how you make an argument that Vick would be more deserving. By comparison, to be fair, I added Vick's total stats. So Vick has 22,464 passing yards with 133 touchdowns to 88 interceptions, which I was actually a little more surprised at. I thought his interception rate would have been a little higher, but I guess when he got to Andy Reid, he was able to cut those down. Now, if you look at his rushing total for his career, which would be, I guess, a stronger argument, he had 6,109 total rushing yards with 36 touchdowns. There are some running backs who, in their entire career, they didn't put those numbers up as starters. So very impressive. But we're talking now, if he is potentially a guy who would go in as an athlete, maybe that would strengthen his argument, meaning Vick. But just pure quarterback, what you played, McNabb is clearly more deserving, and it's not even close.
Right. Okay.
The floor is yours.
I appreciate that little soliloquy that you threw out. And if you ask me, do both of them deserve to be in a Hall of Fame? The answer is no. If you ask me who's more deserving, which you did ask me, of course, I got to say Donovan McNabb, because, as you said, 37,000 plus passing yards, 234 touchdowns, 117 career interceptions, 6-time Pro Bowler, 34. He had 3,459 rushing yards, 29 rushing touchdowns, 8 playoff appearances, 5 division champs, 5-time NFC championship games that he appeared in. And then, of course, we know he made 1 Super Bowl appearance, which they did lose to the New England Patriots. At that time, the New England Patriots was pretty much arguably the best team in the NFL. So yes, definitely. And I have made plenty of arguments where I ask people to debate me if Matt Ryan if Michael Vick was better than Matt Ryan, but a lot of people don't want to come on here and debate me. They want to keep saying that Mike Vick is the guy, but they don't never want to debate me, and I welcome that debate every time, but I can't find nobody. It's like Muhammad Ali trying to find somebody to fight him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't find nobody. So, but yeah, Michael Vick, 22,464 yards, 133 touchdowns, 88 yards. 88 interceptions. He didn't really throw the ball as much as Donovan McNabb, because we were known as a running team. You had Ward Dunn in the backfield. You had TJ Duckett, and we was known as DVD, which is Dunn, Vick, and Duckett. But then on the outside, you did have like Pillis Price at one point. They did bring him in to be the deep threat that they felt like Michael Vick needed. Yeah, appreciate that, Dave. Dave in the building.
I'm inclined to agree.
Dave said, sorry to be all over the place, but do you guys think that the 49ers are the most deserved talked about, undeserved talked about team in the NFL? That's a good topic, Dave. That's a good topic, but I guess if we had to give a quick answer, because we at least can give you an answer.
Right.
I believe that the San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the NFC West as of right now. To me, they look better because they have more, I guess, a balanced team. But like I said, them Seahawks, they looking good too. Geno looking like he just having a rebirth of what he was able to bring from college. But at the same time, who do I trust the most? When you add Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers, I think that was the key acquisition to help launch the San Francisco 49ers into the playoffs. And hopefully, I think that they have a chance of winning that division, because the Seattle Seahawks, I don't think they're going to be able to maintain this momentum going in the future, especially when you get to those playoffs. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to end up winning the division. I think the San Francisco 49ers will win the division. But yeah, the San Francisco 49ers, I feel like they are underrated in my opinion, just because of what before they were losing, and and they went from Trey Lance back to Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think that they haven't really, I guess, got that traction, but I believe in the future they will get that traction.
Dave, just really quick to answer your question. Personally, I don't think they're the most undeserved. Like I when I hear that, I hear like, are they one of the more overrated teams? Like they get all this press, and what have they had to show for it? Even though I'm a Rams fan, I want to hate on them, but honestly, given their quarterback play over the past several years, given their talent level and all of that stuff, I would say it's pretty on brand. They actually have underperformed this year, even before the McCaffrey trade. So I can't agree with what you're saying, but I can see why you would say it, because like this is a team that made it to the basically the NFC Championship game last year. They made it to a Super Bowl a couple seasons ago, and they've not had a drop off of talent. They haven't had like coaching changes. So yeah, they should keep it rolling. They should be like those Eagles teams that I referenced earlier, but they're not. And in that vein, maybe you could say that, but given their quarterback play, Garoppolo at best is a average quarterback, and that's me being generous.
Right.
Consistently average quarterback who got his start because he had one solid season backing up Tom Brady, and he flipped that into a decent starting career and a lot of money. But no, they're getting the amount of like praise and recognition they deserve. Even though I hate to admit that.
But no, Dave said thank you guys. Hey, appreciate that, David. We're gonna get back. We gotta get back to the topic. We're gonna get back to the topic. Finishing off what I was saying. Michael Vick was he was a 4-time Pro Bowler. NFL Comeback Player of the Year when he played with the Philadelphia Eagles, and we know what he did in 2010. And then he lost 2 years. He did lose 2 years of his prime. Due to the dog fighting. So if you add in those 2 years that he did miss, him and Donovan McNabb both played 13 years exactly in the NFL. So they, although like I said, Vick did lose 2 years of his prime. However, I just think that Donovan McNabb is more deserving to be in the NFL Hall of Fame just because of the things that he was able to do throughout his career. Not only was he able to put up the passing yards, although, I judge quarterbacks real tough. If you can't put up consistently at least 3,000 yards a season when it comes to passing, for me, I just feel like you don't deserve to be in there. But Donovan McNabb, when I look through his season stats, he did put up multiple 3,000 plus yards. I think he did that like 7 times out of his 13-year career, whereas Michael Vick only did that twice in his career. And that was the 2 times he played, 2 years that he played in Philadelphia. And also look at who he had. Deshaun Jackson, one of the best, greatest deep threat wide receivers of all time. So it was a lot of deep balls that was being thrown. And Deshaun Jackson was just, the receiver at that time that was, catching a lot of those passes. And Donovan McNabb had, he had a solid run game, even though Vick had one too with LaShawn McCoy. But at the same time, McNabb had Brian Westbrook coming out the backfield a lot of times. And you had to feed him. And then you did have T.O. and all those good people. But, I think Donovan McNabb had a better career than Michael Vick. Now, if you want to judge our popularity, then yes, Michael Vick got that. If you want to judge our athleticism, yes, Michael Vick got that. If you want to judge our rushing ability and all that good stuff, yes, Michael Vick has that. But Donovan McNabb was a more solid, balanced quarterback that took his teams to those championship games. He won playoff games. Michael Vick only won 1 playoff game and only went to the playoffs twice. Never won an MVP. Never came close to one. Did get paid a lot of money, but Donovan McNabb was just solid. He was just solid throughout his whole entire career.
And I agree with everything you said. There's only one thing I'm going to push back on. When you mentioned that Vick was on more of a rushing offense than McNabb, if you say the latter part or more of his career, yes. But people forget McNabb was throwing to guys like Todd Pinkston, and James Thrash, and yes, he had T.O., but he had T.O. for 1.5 seasons.
Correct.
Yes, he had Deshaun Jackson, but he had a rookie Deshaun Jackson, and maybe the first 3 or 4 seasons of Deshaun Jackson's career.
Right.
This was before Deshaun really took off as this deep threat, arguably, in my opinion, one of the top 3 deep threat wideouts of all time.
To me, the best.
And he still got wheels now.
Yes,
still got wheels.
Still playing. Yes,
he probably could wake up and be on any roster and catch a deep ball. So having said all of that, I think McNabb and Vick's careers are more aligned than people think, even though, yes, Vick lost the 2 years. They did both play 13 seasons, but there was a long period where the Eagles' offense with McNabb was predicated on the run. They had the 3-headed monster when they had Staley, and they had McNabb rushing, and then they also had not Brian Dawkins. Goodness gracious. My Philly people gonna hate that I'm forgetting his name because he
was it Deuce McAllister?
No, that was Deuce Staley.
Deuce Staley.
Brian Westbrook. Who was probably a Swiss Army knife of all Swiss Army knives.
Right.
But they had more of a rushing attack. And because there was so much ineptitude on the receiving side, outside of a couple of quality wideouts here and there. Yeah, they had Jeremy Maclin, but that was during the Vick days.
Yeah.
Vick played with Deshaun Jackson in his prime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if you look at Vick's stats, his best stats were with the Eagles.
Yeah.
And it was because he had the same head coach, Andy Reid, who's an obvious quarterback guru, from Brett Favre all the way down now to Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And then you throw in the fact that, again, he was older, so he couldn't rush anymore. So he had no choice but to work on his pocket presence, work on his passing. And even with that, he still was only able to muster up a couple of 3,000-yard passing seasons.
Yep.
He was a quarterback, one of the greatest athletes in the history of the NFL. But if you said judging solely on standing in the pocket or moving outside of the pocket and throwing the ball, Donovan McNabb is more deserving of the Hall of Fame. I agree with you in the sense that they're both not deserving in the Hall of Fame, but McNabb definitely is more deserving. For comparison's sake, Eli Manning, he has 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
He's in the same category as Donovan McNabb, even with 2 Super Bowls. It is what it is.
I think Eli would get it before Donovan McNabb just because of who his brother was and the family that he came out of, and also I think
how he got his Super Bowls.
And also I think Eli, and also I think post Eli career, he's still keeping himself relevant in the media that makes him look good. Like, oh, we love him. He's funny. He's the brother of Peyton Manning, and he had the pressure of He had the pressure of Peyton Manning because he got to still be able to play to that level, and he did win 2 Super Bowls, so that did make him look good. So I think that's what's probably going to sneak him into the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't be mad if they put Eli Manning, if they put Donovan McNabb in the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't be mad because they both did have solid careers. And like you said, when you look at these stats of Donovan McNabb, I mean, yes, you had some quarterbacks that's in the Hall of Fame that don't even have a Super Bowl, i.e. Dan Marino, but Dan Marino put up a lot of passing yards. Warren Moon. I mean, I think Donovan McNabb was better than Warren Moon, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, hey, he in there. Dan Fouts.
Yeah,
he in the Hall of Fame. I think Donovan McNabb better than him as well.
Come on, man. Now you
think Dan Fouts is better than McNabb?
I'll say this. I think Dan Fouts, because he was part of that air raid offense. They were part of what revolutionized the passing attack. That I believe was the Air Coryell offense. So I don't know. Plus, I hate going the eras comparison.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But
it's hard.
Right. It's hard.
Different game, different era.
The rules are different. You know. Right. But just the Warren Moon one hurt a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I respect it.
I like Warren Moon, but I just feel like when you're talking about playing the position of quarterback, I think, and you look at the whole entire career, I think Donovan McNabb, to me, playing in the era that Donovan McNabb played in as well. Look at the quarterbacks that he had to compete against. I mean, you got, like I said, you got Tom Brady, you got Peyton Manning, you got Brett Favre still was playing at that time. You still got who else came in during Donovan McNabb time? That was pretty good. Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers. So like he had to compete against some quarterbacks that we all know. Yeah, Steve McNair, all those guys that we know were good quarterbacks. And I wasn't. I guess I wasn't born. I wasn't watching football during the time when Warren Moon was, in the NFL. So I can't really tell you what quarterbacks. I'm pretty sure he was playing in like the 80s, 90s probably. So you had all those great quarterbacks, but at the same time, when I think of the 90s quarterbacks, Warren Moon is not on that list. You know what I'm saying? But when you think of the late 90s, early 2000s, I think Donovan McNabb was, to me, one of those ones that he'll sneak on that list sometimes.
Dude, but I mean, to be fair and to further add to the Warren Moon train, he was playing against Marino and
he was
Jim Kelly and some of these legendary quarterbacks too. So it wasn't but he had an easier route per se.
Yeah, but in that era, you had great quarterbacks and great receivers. Joe Montana and Steve Young, Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin. Like they had great they had great receivers. Whereas in Donovan McNabb time, you just talked about it. I mean, the greatest receiver he probably had was T.O., and he only had him for a year, maybe and a half, because him and T.O. couldn't get along. He really never had receivers like that. Michael Vick really never had receivers like that either, although he couldn't really throw it to him if he did. But at the same time, he did play in an era where, you had Tom Brady, but who was their receivers? You know what I'm saying? I mean, other than Randy Moss, that the couple of years, and then, he did get Gronkowski and all them. Right. But who was his receivers? Peyton Manning did have Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison, so you can pretty much leave him out of there. Right. But at the same time, we know how great Peyton Manning was. I believe even if he didn't have them receivers, he could have made something out of nothing. So, in my opinion, I just felt like in this era that Donovan McNabb played in, it was a lot of level. It was a higher level of competition because you had to go against some great defenses, let alone some great quarterbacks at that time that you had a lot of pressure. I'm not saying that he was like top 5, because Warren Moon, in my opinion, wasn't top 5 either. But like I said, I think Donovan McNabb would sneak on that list when you say the top quarterbacks during the 90s and the late 90s, early 2000s during his time. I think Donovan McNabb can sneak on that list faster than Warren Moon can sneak on his list.
I get it. I get the argument. It just still hurts. It hurts to hear it out loud.
But yeah, it shouldn't even be a conversation between Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb. I love Michael Vick when he was here. I was a Vick fan. I loved him, but at the same time, when it comes to that quarterback position, I judge very tough because yes, I understand you got the running ability. But when you look at them interceptions, you had a lower interception rate than Donovan McNabb, but you had a high fumble rate. So that also plays a role in that too. You did a lot of rushing, but you did a lot of fumbling as well. So for me, I think Donovan McNabb was heads and shoulders better than Michael Vick. Even at Michael Vick's best years, Donovan McNabb had an overall better career. And some of Mike Vick's best years, which was the 2 years in Philadelphia, Donovan McNabb still topped those years, in my opinion. And also, we remember the Dream Team debacle. You know what I'm saying? Michael Vick was a part of that team, so
he was
that docu as well.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
There's that.
All right, so we're gonna. I mean, I feel like we covered that one. I know Dave has some questions. He said, "What do you guys expect? What do you guys expect the Rams to be in 2 years with their cap situation and player decline?" I'm gonna let my guy handle that. He's a Rams fan, so I'm gonna let him.
To give a short answer to a long problem, they're still going to be competitive, I believe, because they have some of the building blocks. Assuming that Stafford can last another 2 years and that Cooper Kupp will continue to play at his level and they keep at least the baseline offensive pieces and the defensive pieces, will still be relevant, will still be competitive, especially in the NFC West. As far as the cap situation, it is what it is. I think what is going to start to happen, we bubbled up and we peaked at the Super Bowl, and then we're going to start to level out, and we'll probably start cutting some guys, trading some guys away. But it really is going to depend on player development. The stuff that got us to this like recent success that we had outside of this year, we're going to have to get back to that. So I guess to map it out, it'll be probably closer to when McNabb or when Sean McVay first started as a coach, where we're going to have to get some under the radar guys and we'll probably make the playoffs, but won't be a major player. So I don't see us being competing for championships over these next 2 years, given this current season. And we'll probably make the playoffs one of those 2 next seasons. We're not making it this year. I'll just say it flat out. So we'll see. We'll be relevant, but not one of the top teams in the NFC. But we got our ring, so I can live with it.
That's all that matters, Playing in New York doesn't hurt Eli. Yeah, it definitely hurt him. I mean, you had one of the greatest defensive players in Michael Strahan. They had a top defense at that time, and he did have some receivers that made some spectacular catches.
And he had top running back. Tiki Barber was one of the top 10 running backs back then.
Then they had
Brandon Jacobs.
Brandon Jacobs and Bradshaw.
Ahmad Bradshaw.
Mm-hmm. They had a nice little running
game.
They
had a little squad, and he had some of the best years of OBJ's career.
Mm-hmm.
At him at a prime. And he had
Plaxico Burrs,
who was a strong.
They had a nice little tight end too, Jeremy.
Yeah, they had Jeremy Shockey before he went to the Saints.
Yeah.
So I mean, he
had talent around him.
Yeah, he had options. He definitely had better options across the board, I feel like, than McNabb, even though McNabb played with Tio. But Deshaun and Macklin.
Right.
Deshaun Jackson, by the way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so we're going
to go into bed.
Okay, let me see what this question say. Guys, please do me a favor. Can you define what it is? What is an elite quarterback? I get sick of hearing that. I guess elite quarterback to me is, it depends on what type of quarterback you're talking about. Are you talking about a pocket passer? Are you talking about a balanced quarterback? Or are you talking about an athletic quarterback? I think I split those into 3 different categories. But for me, the most elite quarterback, in my opinion, was, to me, I love Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was always my favorite quarterback because he was one of the first quarterbacks to come in his rookie season and had high expectations. Also to the way he was able to just get out of plays and call his plays on the field. I mean, he was just able to just like dissect the defense like crazy. Yes, he did have the talent around him. Like I said, the 2 receivers. And then they did have the tight end, Dallas Clark. But at the same time, I feel like, and he had Edgerrin James, did have Marshall Faulk early in his career, and then Marshall Faulk ended up going to the Rams. But overall, to me, Peyton Manning was the greatest quarterback, in my opinion, when it came to like just dissecting the defense, being prepared. I believe he's an elite quarterback because he was able to do the things he was able to do. However, you still got, balanced quarterbacks who are elite. We witnessing one right now, Patrick Mahomes, who's probably going to be, when it's all said and done, the greatest quarterback in this era. Can he beat the GOAT? It's going to be hard because you got to win a lot of Super Bowls to do that. And I just don't feel like none of the quarterbacks in today's time can win that many Super Bowls. I just don't think that he's going to be able to do that. But he's an elite quarterback because I've seen this man do a lot of spectacular things that I have never seen a quarterback do. And he's doing it with consistency. It's not like he's getting lucky doing it. No, he's doing it with consistency. And he's putting himself in opportunities to win more and more Super Bowls and MVPs. So I believe that Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, of course, Tom Brady, you can put him in there. And then when you're talking about an athletic quarterback who's known for athleticism, I would say Lamar Jackson right now. He's proven to me now. I've been hard on Lamar Jackson, but this year I got to give it to him. I mean, he's proven that he can. He's proven that he can do both of them. So, but he's elite to me.
For me, an elite quarterback is a quarterback who can win you games that shouldn't be won consistently.
Yeah.
That's part of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, for me, I agree with you. To me, the greatest quarterback I've seen play is Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because of the stats. Yes, some of that is because of the wide receivers and, running backs he played with and tight ends and things like that. Yes, mm-hmm. Some of it is his coaching staff because, Tony Dungy is one of the greatest head coaches, and he does not get nearly as much respect and recognition as he should.
Right.
And even when he was with Jim Caldwell is a grossly underrated head coach. That being said, you could put the ball in Peyton Manning's hands, and more often than not, they're coming out with a win.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these quarterbacks who are solid or decent, you can't necessarily do that. For comparison's sake, we just talked about two quarterbacks. The difference between a good or even very good quarterback and an elite quarterback is the difference between Michael Vick, and McNabb and Peyton Manning, or Tom Brady, or even a Drew Brees.
Yeah,
those are the elite quarterbacks. John Elway, Steve Young. Those are the elite quarterbacks. Dan Marino. Even though he didn't win Super Bowls, Jim Kelly, these quarterbacks that I'm mentioning, they are the elite quarterbacks for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You put the ball in their hands, the defense is automatically nervous, not because they're going to run the ball, but because they're going to stand in the quarterback and stand in the pocket. Even Roethlisberger flirted with it.
Yeah,
for a little bit. He flirted with it, but I'll say he was a good quarterback.
Yes.
Even though he has the rings. But those quarterbacks I mentioned, elite, because if there was a minute or 2 minutes left in the game, whether they had timeouts or not, you were nervous if you were on the other team.
Yes.
McNabb and Vick, okay, it's like, man, maybe.
Vick, you were just scared of his wheels.
And that was it.
Donovan, you really wasn't scared of him, but you were scared of his playmakers. I think you were scared of his playmakers more than you was afraid of Donovan McNabb taking it down the field and dissecting your defense and then doing whatever he got to do to win a game. So
to answer this question really quick, part of it is because the way the NFL offenses have changed and the way defenses are being called has changed. So it's a simpler formula and it's more of a passing league.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have these guys who translate from the college ranks where it's a lot of run and gun, used to be called triple option, RPO now, Wildcat / RPO, like that's where the league is now. It's RPO. It's a lot of movement. It's a lot of speed and things like that. And guys, receivers are coming out at a faster clip. You don't need a receiver to jump or wait 3 seasons for a receiver to be in their peak. They're coming in first week, becoming the number ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Bengals have 3 of them.
Yep.
You take any of those guys and put them on many other teams, they're the number one wideout on any of those teams. Any 3 of those wideouts they have who are healthy. So I think that's part of it. And then again, the way defenses are being called, it's clearly a passing league. So I say all that to say that's why these young guys are being put in this position where they're getting a lot of credit before they've actually proven something. because of the way.
Also to piggyback off, to kind of add go a step further for me with these quarterbacks in today's time, social media definitely helps them gain that popularity as well. A lot of times in this era, you don't really have to do much. If you excite me for maybe a game or maybe even a season, I believe, oh man, he's great. You know what I'm saying? And back in the days, you had to prove it. You couldn't just have one good season or one good game.
Exactly.
And social media, I think, also plays a role in that, because now we like quarterbacks or players that give us excitement. You know what I'm saying? We like to be able to just follow their lifestyle, whereas back in the day, you didn't really follow nobody what they was doing off the field. It was just you seen them on Sunday, and then that was the last time you seen them until the next Sunday. Whereas in today's time, you have more access to these quarterbacks, and you know they out here doing amazing things doing pregame. They throwing it behind their back. They doing stuff that we used to see done in like streets or blitz. You know what I'm saying? The games. But I think that a lot of that plays a role into these quarterbacks being deemed as elite before they even put together anything. I mean, you see it a lot in the NBA as well. You know, you definitely see it a lot in the NBA. But I believe that because these players are more popular, that's what helps them, you know, because they have more of a brand than the players back in the day did. Players back in the day didn't have access to creating a brand. They were just on their teams, no matter if they sucked, or no matter if they were good. You just were stuck there, whereas these players can control their narrative a little bit more these days.
Fair point.
Yeah, so we appreciate the question, Dave. He said, I can live with Lamar. Yeah, I like Lamar. Yeah, he's starting to grow on me.
20 other teams could live with Lamar at minimum. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they don't pay him that check. Believe me, there's about to be some teams out there that's gonna fight for the come up. Hey.
You want to see if your team really values their quarterback? Wait and find out if they don't get an agreement.
That's another guy who we missed out. Aaron Rodgers is elite in my opinion. Not the now Aaron Rodgers, but we talked about during his prime when he was actually doing his thing. To me, yes, he was. I don't know. I guess he straddled the line. Is he elite, or is he just like he right there at elite, but he's great? Now I don't know.
Ooh. If this season and maybe last season didn't happen, he would still be elite. Yeah. But I do think he's great. He's not. Yeah. He's taken a hit. I agree. Yeah. He went from elite to great.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think because he have had put his team in positions to be the number one seed and just have fell short every playoffs. And I think after that Super Bowl run that they went on, it was like pretty much like. It was like we can make it to the playoffs. We could be the number one team in the regular season, but then the playoffs come, and that's when I just fold.
But to be fair, a lot of that where he got a lot of he got benefit of the doubt was because they gave him the Peyton Manning treatment in the sense of, oh, he didn't have a defense behind him.
Yeah.
They won a lot of games in the regular season, but come playoff time, if the other team got the ball, their defense couldn't hold a lead.
Right.
But last year, their defense was pretty solid.
Right.
They underperformed and on both sides.
Yeah.
And this year, we see the dumpster fire that's going on. And then what's making it worse,
right?
Elite quarterbacks, I also think about it from a mental standpoint, not just how you play the game, but how you handle the scrutiny of being the most important position. Peyton Manning, guys like that, the reason why, even to a certain extent, Drew Brees, even when they lost, Tom Brady's, those kind of guys, when they lost, they wouldn't throw the team under the bus. Seeing Aaron Rodgers and him constantly like kind of flexing and not taking ownership. Hey, we need to play better. I need to play better.
Right.
That, to me, causes him to take a hit. Because what's the name of that quarterback? He used to play for the Broncos, put up a lot of stats, but he could never mentally, he was never there. He gives me a little bit of his energy. If you remember him, Broncos a few years ago.
Was it Teddy Bridgewater? Jay Cutler.
He's giving me that Jay Cutler energy where it's like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and nobody else is. But it's like, hey, didn't you throw that interception?
Right.
It was a pick six. It's like, you putting up the numbers, but when it counts, you're making critical mistakes. That's what we're seeing from Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah.
So he has taken a hit from elite to great because of that.
I agree. But yeah, we definitely appreciate your questions, Dave. We're gonna get back to the show. The next topic, we got who is winning the MVP as of right now. Who is your MVP, man?
Patrick Mahomes. I didn't want you to finish. Patty Mahomes is winning. This man is number one in passing yards right now. Mind you, he lost his number one option.
Yes.
Now, granted, yes, people say, well, he has Kelsey and da-da-da-da, but look at what he's done. And I did say this. You're going to give me my credit. I did say he has the capability of making Juju Smith-Schuster into a viable option.
You did say that.
I never tired being correct.
You did say that.
He's leading the league in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and he's fourth in passer rating of qualified passers at 103.6 rating. And they're 6-2 right now. Well, what more does this man need to do? And he's already been to a couple Super Bowls. He's already won an MVP. He's on pace to pass for like 100 yards and like 30 or 40 touchdowns after losing his number one option.
Yes.
Who is killing it for another team, by the way. And it didn't matter. It did not matter.
Right.
Mahomes. I know people say, but what about Jalen Hurts? Yes, I want to pick him, but he's not putting up enough passing yards and stats. Yes, he's done an amazing job. He has gone from average at best to a good quarterback. You could even argue that he's very good right now. But again, this is one season. Patrick Mahomes has been doing this since his first starting season. And had it not been for a couple of seasons off and on where people were having historic seasons, he probably would have like 2 or 3 MVPs right now.
Right.
And the Chiefs the AFC for the past like 3-4 years because of Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
What more do you want this man to do?
Right. And probably have another extra Super Bowl if they had an offensive line.
Or two. If it wasn't for Tom Brady.
And what's going on, Yusuka Knight in the building? Dave said actually Michael Parsons should be the MVP. And you know what? When I think of MVP, I never really think of defense because we throughout history have shown us that I think there's only one defensive player, maybe 2 that have actually won the MVP. And I think I believe
Alan Page was one of them.
Did LT win one?
I think LT and Alan Page were the 2. I think those were the 2. I think those were
LT won it because I want to say the same year he actually won Rookie of the Year as well. His rookie season.
He did. You were right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going Patrick Mahomes as well. I mean, it's not even close. Leads the league in passing yards with 26.05, and that's just in week 10 now. Lead the league in touchdown. Lead the league in touchdowns with 21 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. Has his team tied for first in the AFC, and the only reason they tied is because they lost to the Buffalo Bills. And it was still a close game, and that's the Buffalo Bills. You know, and like you alluded to earlier, no Tyreek Hill, and he's still doing it with no, and also no solid run game.
Running game, thank you.
That's the thing. That's the thing too. That plays a role for a quarterback because every defense is coming into the game knowing that we ain't worried about your run game.
Right.
We worried about stopping Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. And then we right now Juju got to prove himself to be a true number 1 right now, and he's doing pretty good. He's not doing bad. And then you got Nicole Hartman and Nico Hartman, and you got some, yes, I think they got Sky Moore or whatever. So it's not really like you have receivers that can go out here and do some stuff and no run game. And Patrick Mahomes is still making peanut butter jelly out of the small little ones you get put on toast, and the little small little smoker, the little packets of peanut butter, right? Still making a solid peanut butter and jelly sandwich just with that. And so for me, it's not even close. You know, it's not close. So I got Patrick Mahomes as well. It's not even close. It's pretty much closed shut, and I don't think it's his trophy to lose. Right. If he goes out here and just trash it up, then okay. But I don't think that he's gonna do that. I mean, it's impossible.
But to be fair, nothing is impossible. But to be fair, he does have a little competition because, again, let's say the way this Eagles team is set up, right? If Hurts stays healthy, if they run the table because they have a very soft schedule the rest of the way, if Hurts and that team runs the table and they go undefeated, he could potentially win. Josh Allen, we don't know what's up with his arm. You know, we don't know. But let's say it's a temporary thing. He maybe sits out a game, but he comes and is on a tear, and they're neck and neck. Yeah. But let's say the Bills have a better record, or they are number one in the AFC. That could happen. Yeah. But I do agree with you. Personally, that was devil's advocate, but I think the rest of the way, right, Patrick Mahomes is finna put up numbers, and it's going to be scary. And I think as a result of that, because what people don't realize, the way like Lamar plays, the way Josh Allen especially plays, they're more prone to injury. Now, don't get me wrong, Patrick Mahomes has wheels, and he clearly can use them, but he's more strategic, and as a result, the team is built around protecting him. They treat him and they protect him like those teams protected Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Yeah. So because of that, he's more likely to be upright and at his peak throughout the rest of the season relative to some of these guys who are competition, like Lamar, like Hurts, and like Josh Allen. They all play a type of offense and a type of style that makes them more susceptible to injuries. Correct. So saying all that,
we both agree. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is just right now he's winning that race, and I foresee him continuing on this domination for the MVP. Hey, shout out to everybody in this chat, man. Y'all jump like a trap we even got Merrick Gillard in the building. What's going on, Merrick? Merrick Gillard in the building. We got Yusuka Knight in the building. We got Dave, who been in the building the whole time, man, just giving us some good questions. Yeah. Yusuka Knight said, "What's your thoughts on the season so far? I love it." Are you saying overall, the whole overall season? I'm pretty sure that's what you mean. For me, it's been a good season. It's been a lot of surprising teams, which I love. I love seeing different playoff teams, and I think we're gonna get a lot of those this year. You've been seeing a lot of journeyman quarterbacks who have pretty much showed like, hey, I can do some things. You know, we have seen some elite defensive play as well. Some elite. You've seen some running backs who have had some bad seasons.
My co-host will be back shortly. Again, we had a good run, and then the internet decided to be the op. But just to jump off his point, I agree. My ops. I was just saying, man, the internet be the op sometimes.
Like the whole time you talk, it didn't do nothing. Then as soon as I started putting out these facts,
you trying to give them a hot 16. They don't want you to win.
But but like I said, you've seen some elite running back play. Even some running backs that have had injuries, and now they coming back, and they, you know what I'm saying, you've seen some big trades, not only in the offseason, but you've seen some in the trade deadline. So I just feel like this season has been pretty solid. You also seen some teams take some step back, you know. So I think, and also you got some competitive divisions out here. The NFC East is 3 teams that are good. You got the AFC, the Bills, the Jets, and the Miami Dolphins, the AFC East, and then the Patriots ain't too far behind. So like you've seen some competitive divisions, and also you've seen some bad ones, like my division right now. We pretty bad.
And my favorite division, the NFC West. Yeah.
Right. The NFC West.
Outside of Seattle.
Yes. So I think this year have given you a lot of things. If you're a true football fan, you enjoy seeing, because I love competing. So for me, if it's competitive, I love it. So yeah.
Really quick for me, overall, I like this season. I don't love it. I like that there's more parity, and it feels like a lot of these divisions are more up for grabs than we thought coming in.
Yes.
But I think part of that is because there's been a lot of mediocre play, especially from the top teams. So that's a little disappointing. But nonetheless, that was just about to allude to that. I think what we're also seeing is a regression to the mean, because the NFL and a lot of the NFL offenses have always or team success has been predicated on running the ball and on defensive play. And I think even though it's still technically a passing league, I think we're seeing a little more of a regression back to solid or strong running or running offenses and defensive play. If you have both, you're probably one of the top teams in the league. If you have at least one, you're probably in the conversation. And if you have neither, you're probably looking at a lottery pick.
Correct.
So with all that being said, I do like that I'm seeing some of that. And I do like some of the comeback stories, like Saquon Barkley as a Penn State grad, a former Penn State running back. I love what I'm seeing. I love what I'm seeing from, again, another Penn State running back with the Eagles.
Miles Sanders.
Right, Miles Sanders. I love what I'm seeing from those guys. I also love what I'm seeing from Geno Smith. He should win Comeback Player of the Year. And if he keeps playing the way he's playing, he should be in the Pro Bowl. I would even vote for him.
Do you think Saquon will win NFL Comeback Player of the Year?
Matter of fact, you're right. I changed that. You're right. He should be the front runner. Saquon should. Yeah. If he should be the traditional Comeback Player of the Year.
Right.
Because typically Comeback Player of the Year went to somebody who overcame an injury and put up really good numbers. But why would likely put someone like Geno Smith in the conversation at least?
Oh yeah, he definitely in the conversation.
Granted, he didn't overcome an injury, but he has been
he overcame a career.
He has been a backup for the past several seasons. Not one, not two, several. Yeah. And what he's doing is amazing. He is a starting quarterback, and he's got his team in the division lead right now.
Right.
The way this division looks, they could mess around and win it. With his quarterback play is a major reason.
And then running back play, Kenneth Walker.
And the running back, yes. Rashad Penny and those guys, they doing their thing. So shout out to them, even though I hate it. But I got to give credit where it's due. So yes, I do agree with you, Dave. Scoring is down. Defensive being the head or the starting point for a strong team is part of it, and running back play too. Especially, I think we're going to see that especially in the playoffs, because a lot of these teams that have top tier running backs, if they're in the playoffs, you're going to see it. The only outlier, I feel like the two outliers are the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yep.
All the other teams that will likely make the playoffs, they're going to have one or both.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we appreciate the question. Yusuka Knight said agree. He also said exactly. Yusuka Knight also said teams are starting to run the ball more and play defense. Yeah. Definitely seeing a lot of old school football now. And I think that's what's gonna play a role in the playoffs. We all know when you get to the playoffs, the game slows down. Exactly. The running game has to pick up, because now you're not really interested in being too aggressive, because one play can end your season, and one game can end your season. So teams are starting to be a little bit more conservative and just kind of letting the clock run out. Low scoring games, unless you're just a high power offense. But for the most part, you see a lot of run game and defensive play in the playoffs. And I think this year that's what's going to make it more competitive, and exciting, because that's what the playoffs is all about anyway. And so I definitely agree with you, everything that you said. Yusuka Knight said, my thoughts on the Falcons are people need watch how the season progresses. It's very little the team can do until next year. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get to the second topic. I'm sorry, third topic. We got to do our second time, our Super Bowl predictions. If my mind served me correctly, I had the Chargers coming out of the AFC, and I had the home team coming out of the NFC.
You did.
I want to say you had the Chiefs coming out of AFC and the Bucks or something coming out of NFC.
That is correct. Correct. Mm-hmm.
So, my good sir, have your teams changed?
Yeah. So I have the Eagles now out of the NFC.
Okay.
Even with everything I said, I have them. I like the way this team is constructed, and they're constructed to win in the playoffs. So until further notice, I have the Eagles coming out of the NFC, and I have the Chiefs still coming out of the AFC.
So, they said, guys, can you give us two dark horses instead of chalk? Oh, you talking about with our Super Bowl picks? I mean, I gave you a dark horse. I feel like,
I'm sorry. Who picking?
I had the Falcons coming out of the NFC.
Yeah,
to the Super Bowl. Now the Chargers, going in, I thought they were going to be a better team than the AFC. So I guess my question got to be: Did my Super Bowl prediction change?
Yeah.
And yeah, they did change. One of them changed. One of them did change, and that's the Chargers did change.
Okay.
No longer I'm on the Chargers bandwagon. I decided to go with a dark horse. The dark horse team. A lot of people didn't expect them to be where they at. Dave, you gonna get what you came for. You about to get what you came for, and I'm gonna tell you who this team is. It's the New York Jets. Jets, Jets. Yes, I got the New York Jets coming out the AFC. I know it's like a man. The Jets.
You choosing violence and chaos.
I'm choosing violence this morning. Today. I got the Jets coming out the AFC when going to the Super Bowl to represent the AFC this year. If you watch the Jets, you have a team that's completely bought in and they're confident. They're playing. I think this team has players that fit the scheme, and so they are beating elite teams. They're not just going out here just beating teams. They beat Miami, beat Cleveland, beat Green Bay, beat the Buffalo Bills last game. And I think I had that prediction. I doubled down on that one. So they're not just beating teams or surprising teams. They coming out here beating some elite teams. And I just feel like they're playing some good football, man. To me, the Jets are the team that nobody really wants to see. Now, I'm not saying offensively they're great. They're not, because, I like Zach Wilson. He's starting to show me a little something. But I think, to me, my favorite player on the Jets offense this year was Breece Hall. He was my favorite running back coming out of this draft. And so far, he has shown me, but then he ended up getting an injury that kept him. That's going to keep him out for the remainder of the season. You got Michael Carter. I think they traded for James Robinson. Was it James Robinson that they traded for?
I believe so.
So you got James Robinson, but offensively, I don't think that they're going to be able to, to withstand the defensive pressures that's going to be coming at them when you get to the playoffs. But I think defensively, the Jets have a better chance to keep these games low. Just like how they did with the Buffalo Bills. They kept their game low, and the offense on things that Wilson had to go out there and do is just be a game manager. We're gonna keep it low for y'all. Just don't turn over the ball. If you could put up some points, that'd be great. But let the defense eat. So I got the Jets coming out the AFC. Let me get some of these comments. He said, "What about teams like Tennessee?"
Next. So my dark horse team, really quick, is the Niners, because they've done it before, and a lot of people count them out, but they're one of those weird teams that are better positioned for the playoffs than the regular season.
Right.
So that's my dark horse team. If I had to pick a dark horse team out of the AFC, The Browns. The Browns. Because, and the only reason I'm doing this one is as much as I don't want to, but assuming Watson comes back and plays even remotely close to how he played, that's the only thing really holding that team back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the fact that their defense has underperformed. But again, like we know in the playoffs, if you get hot at the right time and you have talent, you can overcome a lot of things.
Yep.
And they have a lot of talent technically on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
It's like the 49ers have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And out of the two teams, the 49ers are better suited. So
what does that last point say? I don't know if you can read. Hold on. Come over a little bit.
Let's read it. Okay. Will peak at the right time. One of the best running teams. And they have Nick Chubb. They have Nick Chubb.
Yep.
Like for the Browns. And again, now that they have McCaffrey, for the Niners, and they have Deebo Samuel, who is a running wide receiver.
Yep.
And they have so those teams are better suited to make a deep run. I mean, again, the Niners made a deeper run than people gave them credit for. And they were one pass away from making it to the Super Bowl last year.
Yep.
So not much has changed, and they've actually upgraded in the running back position.
Correct.
Or at least they've upgraded from an offensive talent standpoint by getting McCaffrey.
Yep.
So those are my dark horse teams, but I said what I said about my favorites.
Yeah. So Dave said, "Now that's a dark horse." I told you, Dave, you gonna get what you gonna. Yeah, you asked for it. You about to get it. Yasuka Knight said, "I like it." Dave said, "Let's stop the Jets pick. Let's top that Jets pick." Hey, I don't think nobody could top that one, man. I don't think nobody top it.
That's it. Yeah.
Merrick Gallard said the Jets are having a good season. I won't be surprised if they make the Super Bowl. Who knows? Maybe they could be the next Cincinnati Bengals.
Right. Or at least make it to the AFC Championship game like the Jaguars did a couple years ago.
Yep. Dave said you guys have seemed to have really good chemistry. Hey, we appreciate it, man. We definitely this is our first season, so we definitely, we trying to get that chemistry down pat, but hey, this is my guy, man. We talk about football a lot. We talk about sports. Exactly. We talk about sports a lot. So, this is like we just having a phone
conversation. Years in the making. Exactly.
Yeah, it's just we on speakerphone now. That's how I view these videos. Yeah. But yeah, so I appreciate that, Dave. Dave also said Browns is interesting. Yeah, Browns definitely. You get Deshaun Watson back December 4th. Who knows? Let's see what Deshaun Watson now. If he come back, hey, that'll be an NFL comeback. But at the same time, he missed too many games.
Right.
And I don't think they want to give him any awards right now. He don't even think that the Browns gonna win the Super Bowl because
Could you imagine if he, Lord, you know what? Let's move on.
I don't think you should even say the Browns win no Super Bowl because they not about to let Deshaun get there. The last thing the NFL wants to do is suspend this man when they really wanted the whole season and suspend this man for 12 games, and then he come back and take this team all the way to the Super Bowl and win it.
Yikes.
Man, and don't let them win MVP of the Super Bowl too. Like they not gonna let that happen. So we gonna just go ahead and just scratch the Browns off.
I'm still
next year Browns, but yeah, if the Browns could be interesting as well. Dave also said the reason why I asked about Tennessee is because they are going to host as a home game and have shown that they are not afraid of the Chiefs or the Bills. They have shown that they're not afraid of them, but they haven't been able to overcome them. And I just feel like that's what matters in the playoffs. You have to be able to overcome these teams. Ain't nobody afraid of nobody. But when you get to the playoffs, you got to be willing to play one another. You got to be willing to play.
There are some teams that are afraid of other teams.
I mean, yeah, we know that. But I'm saying, like,
but yeah,
get to the playoffs, you got to play whoever on your schedule.
It's a difference between not being afraid of a bully and actually beating a bully.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Titans, they're not afraid of those two bully teams, but can they beat them though? Consistently.
Right.
That's the $1 million or $1 billion question.
Correct.
And so far, the answer has been no or not really.
Right. Right. Mary Gallar said that would be crazy. Yeah, that would be crazy, man. Deshaun Watson taking the Yusuka Knight said that's wild. And then Dave said, good point. Yeah, so let me get back to this Super Bowl prediction. So I did say the Atlanta Falcons would represent the NFC. Mm-hmm. I'm still on that bandwagon. Hey, but man, to be realistic, let me make my points of why I feel like the Atlanta Falcons. I know we just lost against the Carolina Panthers. Still had a chance to win that game, even though they dominated us for the most part. But the Falcons could easily be 7-3 right now. If you really look back at those games, there's no game where we have just completely got destroyed other than the Cincinnati Bengals game. And the Rams did destroy us, and then we came back. But I think they completely beat us that game. And then you had maybe the Carolina Panthers this game. They did dominate us. We couldn't stop their running back. We couldn't stop their defense from making. I mean, we had a lot of memes out of that game. Marcus Mariota made a lot of memes. Arthur Smith made a lot of memes out of that game as well. So we definitely got embarrassed on Thursday Night Football. But let me tell you why I feel like the Falcons can make if they can win this division, which I believe they can. I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will make the playoffs, but I've said that from the beginning. I think, like I said, we had a chance in all these games to win. And we got one of the best running games. When you look at overall our running ability, I think we ranked number 3 in the league as far as overall running yards, not just running back. We talking about quarterback as well. And then we got 3 running backs that's doing their thing. You got, of course, Cordero back. Even though if Cordero didn't go out, hey, the man could be one of the best rushers in the league right now because his numbers was. I think he was ranked number 3 before he got hurt, and then he got hurt, and then he was done. But he was doing this thing, and then you got Tyler Algier, who's one of my favorite running backs, also coming out this draft. I also say he was my dark horse, and I felt like that was going to be a great pick. And last year, Caleb Huntley was my dark horse, undrafted, and look at what he's doing this year. He's looking good. So you got a solid run game, and then you add Marcus Mariota wheels to that. We just got to develop that passing game. Right. And then the last point was, if we could just peak at the right time, this is your time to peak. You got a pretty good schedule. You got a pretty favorable schedule, even though you got some teams that's gonna be scary. But you got the Chicago Bears next week. I think we got Tampa Bay. I know we got Tampa Bay at the end of the season. You got Pittsburgh coming in here. You got the Baltimore Ravens again. I mean, of course, you got the Arizona Cardinals. But then you got the Washington Commanders. So you got some winnable games, and if you can win more of those games than you lose, you probably win this division, and then you have a chance in the playoffs. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of my biases with the Atlanta Falcons. I always said that they my Super Bowl pick until they mathematically out of it. So if I had to be a realistic fan of football and leave my team out of it, the team I'm saying that's gonna represent the NFC will be the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are that team to beat right now. They just brought in T.J. Hockenson, which we just discussed this topic last week. I said T.J. Hockenson was the most impactful trade of that trade deadline. He's going to take this team to another level. And last week we got to see that, and that was just the week 1. Now coming in with an extra week under your belt. Who knows? You add him with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and then you got Dalvin Cook running out the backfield. Now Kirk Cousins has no excuse now. No excuse. And then that defense is still pretty solid. So I believe that they're the most balanced team. When you look in the NFL, they have the run game, they got the passing game, they got the defense that's pretty solid. So I believe that they should be able to get this team to the NFC and represent the NFC. So I got the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets in the Super Bowl. That's gonna be an ugly Super Bowl. Nobody really wants to see that. But at the same time, I believe you're gonna get 2 new teams, and I think the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets, pending that my Falcons don't make the playoffs.
So I will say I do like your Vikings pick, and the thing that's interesting about both of those teams, in the past you would say, oh, but what about the coaching? Coaching matters. But we've seen this new wave where there's new blood, where you don't necessarily have to be a pedigree coach to make it, even though technically speaking, I mean, Robert Saleh for the Jets, he was a longtime defensive coordinator, so it's not that far of a stretch if they were to make it to the Super Bowl. And again, Kevin O'Connell, I believe, is the head coach for the Vikings. and he comes from the Sean McVay coaching tree. So it's still possible, and that no longer matters as much. And I do like the Vikings pick primarily because you're reducing Kirk Cousins to more of a game manager with a lot of weapons. So he's an upgraded, in my opinion, Garoppolo, except that he passes at a higher volume. So he could go into a playoff game and give you 300 plus passing yards and like 3 TDs because of the talent around him. And he wouldn't necessarily have to do that because they have Dalvin Cook. He could easily give you now the way he's playing within himself a lot more than he has in the past. So he could throw for 200, 250 yards, maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns, and still win a playoff game because of all of the other pieces around him. So, I like it.
Correct. Get to the little few more of these comments. Dave said, Vikings ain't bad. Hey, Dave, I told you, you asked for it, and I gave it to you. Gave you 2 dark horses, maybe really 3. Gave you really 3 of them.
You really did.
You're welcome. Mary Galard said, I won't be surprised if the Vikings make the Super Bowl either. Yeah, I like that pick. Yasuka Knight said, that's a good one. Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, I told y'all gonna get your money's worth. Just come and tune in to us every week. We're gonna get you right. Dave said sometimes I don't like listening to the lazy national media who only talk about the 4 teams a season. Yes, I to tell you the truth, we have our own thought process. Absolutely. And a lot of times when you're on those big national platforms, they keep talking about the teams that they know it, like, get people excited. Like, oh, yeah, I want to hear them talk about my team. And that's why I created Fan of Atlanta 365 as well, because I wanted to talk about my team in a more positive light. The Atlanta Falcons get a lot of slander in the media, unless we have to go out there and prove it every week, where some teams, like the New Orleans Aints, they can go out there and lose all their games, and they always gonna be seen as, oh, the New Orleans Aints got a chance to win that division. They can win the Super Bowl, and they never do anything. But we keep going off their past. So I believe that, yes, I definitely agree with you. There has been a lot of teams that just they always on the media. The Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though the Tampa Bay Bucks, they don't even look like they can win a Super Bowl, we still talking about them every day. So for me, I definitely agree with this comment.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. And again, that's why platforms like this are so important. Yes, the big ones are there, but there's a space where all of these can exist. So we're glad that you found a home here.
Yeah, and I like to go off the limb, So for me, I say a lot of things that may not be the popular opinion at that time. So I like to kind of like make fun with it, So I appreciate that, man. And he normally go with the chalk. He a chalk guy. But
ooh, dang.
The Eagles gonna win the Super Bowl. We know the Eagles don't. I forgot. I had a counter for that Eagles thing too, because I knew you was gonna pick the Eagles. I knew it. It was like I knew it.
Check they undefeated. They're undefeated.
Yeah. But let's go through this schedule of how they undefeated. I know you can. To tell you the truth, I know you can only play the teams that's on your schedule.
Hey, my
but
let's
just dive.
Disclaimer for my Philly people: don't listen. Don't take this slander personally. This is just how he is, for better, for worse.
Because I'm surrounded by Philadelphia Eagles. I'm surrounded by Philly natives. My wife is from Philly.
So choose your words.
My guy here, he's from Philly. I got a lot of people, a lot of family Africans too. So they coming at me. And they all, anytime the Philadelphia Eagles do good, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Phillies, oh my God, I got to hear about all this. So now it's my time. It's my time to just, kind of bring them back down to earth. So I'm going to do that. So the Philadelphia Eagles started off with the Detroit Lions. Now, I did say the Detroit Lions was going to be a better team this year. And so far, they have proven me right, even though their record don't show that. But we see that they're a better team. But the Philadelphia Eagles beat them. Okay, Minnesota, that was early in the season, but they did beat the Minnesota Vikings, so we're going to give them that win. We're going to give them that win. We're going to give them that one.
Okay.
Then they come back, Washington Commanders. First of all, they can't even think of a good name, so how we expect them to go on the field and beat, and they've been the trash of the NFC East for a minute now, so it's kind of like, is that really a good win? But, you know, like I said, you only play the teams that's on your schedule. But then they follow that up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then the Arizona Cardinals. And then, okay, Dallas. Okay, we know that's a good rivalry. Dallas got the good defense, but they also had Cooper Rush at quarterback. But, you know, I digress on that. I give you that win. But then you follow that up with the Pittsburgh Steelers now without TJ Watt. I just feel like, you know, the Pittsburgh Steelers just ain't that team no more, you know. I mean, Kenny Pickett, I like Kenny Pickett, but he haven't shown that, you know, that ability yet. So, and Najee Harris haven't had a good season this year thus far. But, okay, you beat Pittsburgh Steelers in the battle of, you know, Pennsylvania. But then you follow that up with the Houston Texans. So, in my opinion, yes, the Eagles are undefeated, and you can only play the teams that's on your schedule. But really haven't seen many teams that I can say, you know what, the Eagles are for real. So, I mean, I know they'll win the division, they'll make it to the playoffs, but they'll do like they did last year. Came against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and couldn't get the job done. So that's just my opinion from an Atlanta Falcons fan to a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Boy, oh boy. Okay, so here's my get back from my Philly folk. All right, so and I know these are AFC teams, but bear with me. So if we look at the Chiefs, they had the Chargers, the Colts, the Bucks, the Raiders. They played the Bills. They lost to them. The Niners, and let's see, they had a narrow victory against the Titans. I mean, granted, they had a slightly better schedule, but let's not say they faced a juggernaut of teams, right? Okay, going to the Bills, the preseason champion. It was like, we just gonna crown them, right? So they played the Titans, blew them out. Okay, fine, but it's the Titans, and it was the first game of the season. They had the Dolphins. They lost a narrow 2-point victory. Played the Ravens, the Steelers.
We're not forgetting a game.
Oh no, I'm just going. I'm not going necessarily in order. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Because
I didn't forget about the Bills and the Chiefs game, in which
it was another game,
and the Ravens, and let's see, the Packers and the Steelers and the Jets.
It was another dominant. It was a dominated game though. When the first game of the season?
Let me double. Oh yeah, we ain't want to talk about that one. And they blew the Rams out. Fine, you want me to say it? I said it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, they blew out the Rams. Right, first game of the season, blew them out. But there's been a lot of teams that ain't played nobody, or they might have played one or two teams. So for you, your dark horse NFC Super Bowl, representative, for your qualifier to be, they played them early in the season. Come on, brother, pick a struggle.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
it's not like the Eagles, their schedule is that much weaker than these other two teams that I mentioned.
Right.
Give or take a game. And they're still putting up numbers. And now, granted, fine, they didn't play anybody. I'll give you that. Okay. But they have still won every single game.
Yes.
Did you expect that?
I didn't expect that.
Most people didn't. I didn't expect that.
Right.
And a lot of those games haven't been particularly close. And even when they have, they've still found ways to win in different ways. Do you need them to blow you out? They'll do it. Do you need them to win a defensive game? They'll do that too. Do you need them to neutralize the best defensive player, Micah Parsons? They've done that. So what more do they need? So the reason I push back so hard against this, not just because I'm from Philly and because I technically
I think that's the main what it is.
That's not why. The main reason is why, because that unintentionally it devalues how well this team has been playing in a multitude of different ways. They've won by making key plays and key moments, offensively or defensively. They've won by an elevated quarterback play. They've won by better head coaching. Compare their head coach this year versus last year, the same time, people were ready to get rid of him. Now he looks pretty damn good as a head coach. He's making good decisions. He's making good head coaching decisions in key moments. They're not rattling when they're down by a touchdown or a field goal. They're staying in the game. They're playing within themselves. They're not letting teams beat them, and they're not beating themselves. They are playing excellent football, and it doesn't matter who they're playing so far. So give them.
I'm glad you said that. So far,
yeah.
You get to the playoffs. You get to the playoffs. Let me ask you a question.
All right.
Can they beat the San Francisco 49ers?
This current team can. They have enough talent.
Can they beat the Cowboys?
Yes, they did it earlier, and I don't care.
We're not no longer Cooper Rush ain't there no more.
I don't care. Dak Prescott. The Eagles are not afraid of Dak Prescott, and so far,
ain't nobody afraid of anybody. Nobody's afraid of anybody.
Sir, we both said that we love Peyton Manning. There were teams that were afraid of Peyton Manning. Don't do that. There were teams that were afraid of Tom Brady in his prime.
Yes.
So
are you saying that teams are afraid of Jalen Hurts?
No. What I am saying, I'm using that point to say, don't say that teams aren't, that nobody's afraid of nobody. That's not true. I don't think that's true. There are teams that they look at certain teams on their schedule. I think personally, the Bills are afraid of the Chiefs. And had it not been for them winning this year against the Chiefs, I still think they're afraid of them. I even think they're a little afraid of them now. I feel like the Chiefs, for example, and the Bills, it's kind of like this big brother, little brother scenario. And the little brother finally got get back. But when it counts, the big brother is going to show he's the big brother. That's how I feel about the Chiefs versus the Bills currently. So all that, ain't nobody afraid of nobody. No. Teams are afraid of teams. There are certain teams that are afraid of certain players. Do you think there are teams that are not afraid of Micah Parsons? There are certain quarterbacks who aren't afraid of Micah Parsons. Yeah. Okay, then. So I'm saying all that to say the Eagles, until otherwise proven, have no reason to fear the Cowboys, especially with Mike McCarthy as a head coach. No reason. And they have a more favorable schedule than all of the other teams in the regular season. Now, granted, playoffs are a different beast. We'll see. But we also saw a second-year quarterback make it to a Super Bowl last year. We've seen journeyman quarterbacks make it to Super Bowls recently. Just saying. And Philly is a nice city, especially in the spring and the summer. Fall too.
They got great Philly cheesesteaks.
Yeah, and then they should. They should. Whenever your hometown city is in the name of a food, that's like going to Buffalo and the wings being trash.
Are they known for wings?
Well, the buffalo wing sauce was originated in Buffalo. So
never knew that. Okay. All right. Well, Dave really didn't enjoy this conversation, but he wants to know what coaches are on the hot seat.
So hot seat.
I think Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat with the Packers, because they are in position to they are expected to make the playoffs and win that division and have a chance be a Super Bowl contender. And I just think for the past maybe. You can even argue last season they kind of performed, just above that line to say, okay, we was okay, we made the playoffs, but this year they have like taken a turn for the worse. Right. So I think Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat, and I also feel like let's see who else is on
Cardinals head coach is definitely on the hot seat.
Cardinals head, yes, definitely. Cardinals head coach.
A few of the ones that were on the hot seat have already been fired. That's the unfortunate part.
Right.
But yeah, you were saying.
And there's one more coach I had in mind. Dallas Cowboys. I feel like they're winning. They're winning, but Mike McCarthy is just not. He's not that guy. I think you have a better chance, and I don't really like him no more because He came and messed my team up. But Dan Quinn is better for that culture. And Mike McCarthy, he's more of just he's what we consider like a quarterback that's just you just go out here and don't make no mistakes. Mike McCarthy is not responsible for anything. He just pretty much just holds that position. And then the defense coordinator and Kellen Moore.
He's a game manager, head coach.
Yes, exactly. Just call the time.
Don't expect him to win you games. You'll win in spite of him, not because of him.
Just stand down there and hold the paper like this. And then do this from time to time to make it look like you calling the play, but you really just talking to your wife. Yeah, baby, when I get home, you know, what you gonna cook for me tonight? Like, that's what you're doing.
Here's a dark horse head coach. And he used to be on your team. Goodness gracious, I'm forgetting names. It's the age, y'all. His dad coached for a long time, NFC West, 49ers head coach. He's also on Kyle Shanahan. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's on the hot seat because I think he should be, because he's been in that division. They have the talent around him. They've given them a long contract, you know, and what is he shown for it? And I think what will make him more on the hot seat is this Trey Lance experiment. If they don't make the playoffs, it's like, wait a minute. We had a perfectly serviceable quarterback. We made it to the NFC Championship game, essentially, or were close to it last year.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, yeah, they did make it. We made it to the Super Bowl a couple seasons before this, but you decided not only to do all this stuff and bench him for an unproven quarterback, you traded up and gave up so much just to get him.
Yeah.
And now, where are we? You have all this talent on both sides of the ball, and we have nothing to show for it, for a franchise that is used to winning championships historically. Yeah. So I think he's another dark horse, hot seat quarterback.
And this is a quarterback that you traded up for and got him at number 4 overall. And he came out there and just looked like trash. And then you end up having to go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. And before the season, you was trying to trade
in the first place.
And you was trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo in the beginning of the season. So it was like it's not making you look. And I think the only thing that probably revived him was that Christian McCaffrey trade. Exactly. That may help him, kind of get back on the cold seat.
Make the playoffs. Can you imagine trading for McCaffrey and all of this stuff and still not making the playoffs in a weakened NFC West division outside of what Seattle's currently doing?
Right.
Imagine.
Right. Let's go back to Dave comment. He said he meant the conversation about firing quarterbacks. Sorry, not to be clear. So he was saying that he don't like this conversation about the coaches, but can y'all give y'all opinion? So that's really what he meant. So hey, shout out to Dave, man. And then Yasuka Knight said Cal is definitely on the hot seat. Yeah, he's definitely on the hot seat in our opinion. So we're gonna go ahead and go for it. So we did. So your NFC representative was the
Eagles.
The Eagles, and AFC was the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is the Jets and the Falcons until they out of it. But if they realistically to get rid of my fandom, I got to go with the Minnesota Vikings. So that's our second prediction. We'll come out with a third prediction, and then probably that fourth one will actually be the Super Bowl game. Who we think will win the Super Bowl. But we'll probably do another one when we get all the playoff teams, and then we can give a more accurate one. And then the Super Bowl is like who actually is the champion. So y'all look forward to those in the coming weeks. But we're gonna get to this last topic. Our last topic is always the lock pick, surprise pick, and the 2 game of the week picks. But before we get to that, hey man, if you're listening right now, man, don't forget, go to YouTube right now, subscribe to the channel, Fan of Atlanta 365. I think we just gained a subscriber today. College Football Nightcap, subscribe to the channel. So shout out to him or her, whoever that is. Shout out to them. But yeah, definitely go to Fan of Atlanta 365 right now on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You can catch us live every Saturday, No Huddle with Jeramy Hassan. Every Saturday normally at 7 p.m. But for the next 2 weeks, this week and next week, we will start at 2 p.m., which we did today, Eastern time. So definitely keep following us, keep supporting the channel, keep keep commenting. We love the comments. I know we got off topic a lot today, but we want to, kind of cater to y'all today too, and get y'all questions out there. Y'all have some great questions, so we appreciate that. And definitely, man, just keep supporting the channel, man. We trying to see how far we can get. So of course, likes, comments, shares, and just subscribe. People subscribing to the channel is definitely gonna help us move forward. This is our first season together, so this is our first time doing this show, and I think it's been a success. And we want to continue to, give y'all the best content right before the NFL games on Sunday. So definitely just keep tuning in, keep supporting us, keep telling everybody, tell your mama, tell your dad, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your pet eagle if you have one, because the Super Bowl will not be having eagles there. They will be, by that time they'll be fried up and eaten. But yeah, so
I'm telling you why. Yeah. She will get my get back for me.
But yeah, so definitely, man, appreciate y'all for joining us, man. So let's get to this last topic. Like I said, the lock pick, surprise pick, and your 2 game of the week picks. Hey, who you got for your lock pick?
I have the Eagles over the Commanders. Enough said.
Oh, that's going on a limb.
It's a lock pick. It's a lock pick.
Okay.
Dang.
Okay.
You cutting up. I'm gonna report you to the missus as soon as we end. All right. What you got, brother?
All right. For my lock pick, I got Seattle at Tampa Bay. I think Seattle is gonna win this game. It's in Germany, so hey, it's only right that Seattle go ahead and put Tom Brady out of their miseries. The Falcons come back and we still gonna be tied for that number 1 pick, and I think they'll have the number 1 slot anyway, just because they beat us.
Right.
Even though it was debatable, but hey, I digress on that. But yeah, I got the Seattle Seahawks with a lock pick over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right.
Hey, peace out, Merrick Galar. Appreciate you for joining us.
Support, man.
You know what I'm saying? We appreciate all y'all support. But yeah, all right, man. Who you got for the surprise pick?
This one is a little more out on a limb. I got the Broncos over the Titans. I have no reason to pick it. I just feel like there has to be a game where they put it all together, and they won the last time we saw them play. I think they'll go on a 2-week win streak. Yeah, and it'll be a defensive game because the Broncos have a solid defense.
Yeah, they do.
But not particularly on the run game, but we'll see.
Derrick Henry. Yeah, so my surprise pick, I actually got the Pittsburgh Steelers over the New Orleans Saints. You got TJ Watt returning this week, and I think he's gonna come with a vengeance. And Andy Dalton, you better watch out, because last week the way the Ravens was able to get to him, TJ Watt is
licking his chops
coming in there. Now it's gonna be a defensive game because both offenses. I mean, New Orleans, they can spike up on you, but I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers, now that they get their best player back on their team, hopefully the offense can just can just put up some points and put the Aints out of their miseries for me. But I got the Pittsburgh Steelers over the New Orleans Aints.
Gotcha.
Yep. All right, so we had our last 2 games, which we picked already. The first game that we're gonna talk about is the Buffalo Bills versus the Minnesota Vikings. Who you got, bro?
I have the Bills. Surprisingly, I have the Bills. I'm assuming that Josh Allen plays, and even if he's compromised, he's still good enough to get them over the hump. But if he doesn't play, they have a solid backup. I'm forgetting names today, but yeah, he's serviceable enough to win them a game with the talent around him.
Gotcha.
I believe it's Case Keenum is their backup. He's solid.
Okay.
Who you got?
I actually got Minnesota winning this game. This is the game where they proved me to be right, that TJ Hawkinson was the most impactful trade before the trade deadline, and I think they're gonna be able to beat a Buffalo Bills team that, like you said, Josh Allen is compromised, and a lot of his game is predicated on him being able to run the ball effectively, and you can't do that when you're injured, especially taking them hits. Minnesota has a solid defense, not a great defense, but they're definitely solid. And then also on the offense side of the ball, you got a lot to compete with, and I just feel like they should be able to beat the Buffalo Bills without Jordan Poyer another week. They do have a solid defense as well, but they don't have a solid cornerback because Tre'Davious White is still out. But I think the Minnesota Vikings has a lot of weapons, and you got to pretty much pick your poison now. So I got the Minnesota Vikings over the Buffalo Bills. And the last game of the week, we got the LA Chargers versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now you done did all this talking about the San Francisco 49ers, so go ahead and make your pick, man.
You already knew. Niners, man. Another week with Christian McCaffrey getting another week of install. Yeah, come on. Yeah. And this Chargers team, they like this, man. I'm going with the hotter hand.
Yeah, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers as well. Like you said, Christian McCaffrey, Joey Bosa coming, he gonna be trying to eat. And I just feel like the Chargers are playing below expectation. They did beat my Falcons. And Khalil Mack, due to a strip on Drake London, helped them win that game. But overall, I haven't really seen much of the Chargers to say, I'm impressed, like you said. But San Francisco, like I said, Christian McCaffrey, that to me, that was the move of the year. And I think it's gonna show this upcoming tomorrow. So that's been another episode of No Huddle with Jeramy Hassan. Hey man, what you got for us today?
Hey man, again, happy Veterans Day weekend to the veterans who served. Go see Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Great movie. Everybody be safe. I ain't got nothing else.
Yeah. Hey, so like you said, man. Hey, shout out to all my vets, fellow vets. Hey, happy Veterans Day to us. We know how important that is. Unfortunately, these restaurants, y'all got to get better though, because every year is declining with what's available. Just give me a free meal. Like, just give me a free meal. Don't tell me, I went to Hooters yesterday, and it was like they normally have the 10-piece wing with the fries. You just buy the drink. Now you can only get 10-piece the boneless wings. They don't give you fries, so you got to buy the fries and you got to buy the drink. So I'm like, bro, just give me the meal. Like, what's going on? Like, you say you honor vets, but you really don't. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was another restaurant. I didn't go to this restaurant. I wasn't gonna go to this restaurant. I want to say it was Chili's. They offered you a onion bloom. Who want that? Don't nobody want no onion bloom, man. Like,
not even onion rings, an onion bloom. Nah,
it's an onion bloom. It look like a roll, like a flower, but it's like onions.
I know exactly what it is, but nobody wants that.
Yeah, that's like giving somebody fried pickles. Happy Veterans Day, fried pickles. I don't want that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we got to get better. We got to get better with celebrating our veterans. And then, okay, even on Veterans Day, if you're not gonna celebrate us, at least celebrate us throughout the year. I have went to plenty of establishments and said, hey, do y'all have veteran discount? No. I went to K&G to get my suit for my wife, for my sister wedding that's coming up. I asked them, they have a veterans discount. No, we don't have a veterans discount. So when you checking out and you're using your card, the question that they ask you, do you want to donate to the veterans group? So you want me to donate to the veterans group, but y'all don't offer a veterans discount? So I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
Math ain't mathing.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, but hey, shout out to the veterans, man. I know what we do. I know how important this is to, to this country. Freedom ain't free. So we appreciate y'all for y'all willingness, y'all volunteering to be a service member. Only 1% of the United States is in that. So at the end of the day, man, hey, that's huge for me. So shout out to my fellow veterans. And just, stay safe out here. It's getting a little cooler. So definitely, dress warm. And y'all just be great people, man. Help somebody if you can help somebody. And just love on people, man. Just care about people. You know what I'm saying? The elections didn't really go the way we expected. But at the same time, we all know that God, or whatever you call him, is in control. So no matter what elected official is in those seats, at the end of the day, God's will is going to be done. So yeah, y'all just use that to go about life. But enjoy football Sunday. Enjoy whatever college games today. I think Georgia play Mississippi State later on today. So we're gonna go on here to do what we got to do, handle business. But yeah, so that's all I got, man. Hey, until next time, it's been another episode of No Huddle with Jeramy Hassan. We'll see y'all next week, 2:00 p.m. Eastern time. We out of here.